Welcome to this explainer. Okay, let's jump right into it. Today we're unpacking a wild and honestly kind of chilling workplace drama pulled from Office Drama Stories episode 116. We're going to look at how an ordinary, totally boring corporate document managed to hide a massive, calculated secret. We usually think of corporate theft as something out of a heist movie, right? Hackers, briefcases of cash, shredded files. But the reality is often way quieter. Sometimes it's just an invisible spreadsheet edit. It's a tiny formula working silently in the background. In this explainer, we're breaking down exactly how one small digital footprint unraveled a massive scheme to steal an employee's hard-earned bonus, and how digging into the raw data exposed what an entire room of executives tried to cover up. I want to start with this brilliant observation from strategy lead Maya Carter. The dangerous documents never look dangerous first. That perfectly sets the tone for us today. A simple spreadsheet is arguably the most mundane thing in any office. It looks administrative, it looks routine, it looks harmless. And that is exactly why it became such a highly effective weapon for workplace theft. People just don't scrutinize the boring stuff. They assume the math is just math. But Maya hit the nail on the head. When a document looks completely innocent, it's actually the perfect place to hide something incredibly expensive.
Section 1. The spreadsheet loophole. Exposing a sophisticated trick.
So picture the crime scene early in the morning, long before anyone in the office even admitted a crime had taken place. The company thought they were just waking up to a normal day, but instead, they were about to confront a record that refused to stay quiet. Our story centers on Sofia Lane. She's a hardworking operations coordinator who just puts her head down and builds. But an invisible change in a spreadsheet meant all of her success, all her campaign impact, was secretly being transferred to line someone else's pockets. Specifically, a senior colleague named Derek. Sofia had absolutely crushed her campaign targets, but the math in the background was quietly rewriting reality. It's a terrifying thought, right? You do the heavy lifting, you generate the numbers, but a hidden formula hijacks your credit before it ever reaches your paycheck.
Moving on to Section 2. The perfect alibi. When an incident is justified as an error. When people started asking questions about this highly suspicious shift, the corporate machine didn't even flinch. It offered up a very polished, jargon-filled excuse. Derek Rowe had a smooth alibi ready to go. He claimed the formula was simply copied over from last quarter by mistake. He called it an innocent finance mapping error. You know the type, a phrase specifically designed to make everyone's eyes glaze over so they stop asking questions. But the cold, hard reality of Sofia's situation was that her campaign impact was deliberately siphoned right into Derek's bonus column. Derek was using the sheer complexity of corporate finance to mask outright theft, calling it alignment or consolidation instead of what it really was.
And get this, Derek actually tried to spin his cover-up as career advice. Listen to what he told Sofia in the hallway. Be careful not to turn every inconsistency into a personal war. Wow, that is textbook toxic office politics, isn't it? The pressure doesn't sound like a threat, it sounds like mentorship. He's essentially warning her that mature employees know when to drop an issue for the sake of the team. He's weaponizing the language of professionalism to pressure her into staying quiet so he can just keep the stolen credit.
Which brings us to Section 3, Tracking the Digital Trail, the System Doesn't Lie.
Well, Maya Carter knows something crucial. People might lie, but systems leave digital footprints. They hesitate, they log, and they record everything. Maya built this incredible proof map that turned vague suspicions into undeniable corporate forensics. She mapped out the object, the owner, the timestamp, missing approvals, and the beneficiary. By literally following the exact records, Maya took isolated pieces of info that looked totally harmless on their own and arranged them to show a clear, deliberate design. It created a direct, clean path from the action straight back to the owner.
And then, executive assistant Nina Ross comes in and adds this massive layer to the proof map. She proved that invisible background work always sees the truth. The official story desperately wanted to frame this as just an isolated, one-off mistake. But Nina brought the receipts, calendar exports, saved drafts, meeting notes, forwarding trails. These records added absolutely crucial context. It just goes to show, the people who treat administrative tasks as invisible often forget that those exact same tasks leave a paper trail, a trail that can place a hidden spreadsheet formula into a much larger, deliberate pattern.
All right, Section 4. The smoking gun. The moment of truth exposed.
This is the exact moment the polite corporate cover-up completely, spectacularly falls apart.
Analyst Aisha Morgan asks this incredible, room-shrinking question: who benefits if this stays classified as harmless? This was the major turning point. Office lies survive when the harm is kept vague and theoretical. But Aisha's question forced the executives in the room to stop pretending this mapping error was just an innocent little accident. It made the benefit painfully specific. Everyone in that room suddenly realized if they call this an error, Derek gets paid for Sofia's work.
Now look closely at this timeline of raw export data pulled by IT audit specialist Jordan Price. Because this is the undeniable smoking gun. Point 1. Sofia uploads her stellar campaign performance report. Point 2. The spreadsheet formula is actively edited by Derek. Point 3. The financial quarter closes. Jordan didn't use any fancy hacker tricks. He just brought the raw, unedited system logs, and those logs showed the exact, undeniable sequence of events.
So here is the massive takeaway. Derek went in and changed that formula right after he saw Sofia's amazing numbers. He didn't just accidentally copy a broken formula from last quarter like he claimed. The metadata explicitly shows he went in and edited the document only after Sofia uploaded her highly successful report, right before the quarter closed. This sequence absolutely destroys his mapping error alibi. It proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that the edit was a deliberate reaction to her success, a calculated move to capture her bonus.
When Derek was backed into a corner and desperately tried to argue that system logs need interpretation, Jordan Price dropped this absolutely legendary response. This is not suspicion, this is sequence. Boom. He shut down the excuses instantly by relying solely on raw, unarguable data. Think about it. A timestamp doesn't have a bias. A file property doesn't care about your office politics. The record simply waits patiently for someone to read it out loud.
Finally, Section 5, changing the entire system, fixing the vulnerability to protect the future.
Instead of just quietly punishing one person and sweeping the whole mess under the rug, the company actually decided to genuinely fix the vulnerability. HR manager Linda Park and the finance team stepped up and rolled out 3 concrete steps to ensure transparency. Step 1, mandatory formula audits. Step 2, requiring visible mapping notes so changes can't just hide in the background anymore. And Step 3, enacting employee review windows before payouts so people like Sofia can actually verify their numbers before the money moves. They literally embedded fairness directly into the workflow. If the old culture used process to erase people, this new culture uses process to protect them.
Maya insisted that a public harm required a public correction. True resolution turns discovery into protection. A quiet, private little slap on the wrist wouldn't be enough, because private fixes leave future employees exposed to the exact same trap. By changing the very architecture of how bonuses are calculated, they made it fundamentally harder for anyone to attempt credit theft again in the future. They didn't just end this drama, they changed the next scene before it even had a chance to start.
I'm going to leave you with this thought to chew on from today's explainer. A bonus formula can look like math while quietly carrying someone else's bias. We all tend to trust numbers implicitly, right? We just assume they're objective. But numbers are programmed by people. So I challenge you to think about your own workplace. What seemingly objective numbers, hidden mapping rules, or invisible formulas might be running unchecked in your office right now? The records are out there. They just need someone patient enough to read them. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive. Stay curious, and always keep checking the metadata.